Hello, guys, welcome to this podcast, Everyday Talkies, which ironically does not come out daily. I am Anshul and I talk about random things to random people, majorly about life, perspectives, and thinking process. It's like an interview, or let's say more of a conversation with one or two guests about random topics that interest us. To be really honest, it's just a way to reduce my inhibitions in talking to people. So come join me and enjoy. Hey guys, welcome to the new episode of Everyday Talkies. I don't know whether you have missed us, but it's been a month since we released an episode. There's no good excuse. I was just busy with work and I needed a break. So 1 month break I think is enough. And I really miss podcasting, really miss talking to new people. And today let's start the resurgence of Everyday Talkies with a new guest, my friend, my college mate, my office colleague, Amogh. Hi Amogh.
Hey Anshul, how are you?
Hello.
How much break is too much break from your podcasting?
That's a good question. I don't know. 1 month was too long. I don't know if it was up to me, I would have never taken a break. But yeah, there were other commitments. You already know about it. But let's get past that. But yeah, how are you doing? How's everything?
I'm doing really good. I think we're almost at the end of the year. It's not like things are going to change just because clock is going to strike Jan 1, 2021. But there's always some changes in numericals, right? 2020 becomes 2021. I don't know. I think that's some sort of an emotional satisfaction for everybody. So
2020 needs to end soon with all its atrocities. No, but given we're talking about it, how has COVID been for you? Like, you're in Bangalore right now. So how's the situation there? How was the past 8 months?
So I think initially for the first quarter of this year, right, we were enjoying. We knew what to do when we were looking forward to the weekend, right? So I wanted to go cycling. I wanted to meet up with my friends, other people, just hang out in a bar, cafe, have different types of food on every weekend. Different places were on my bucket list. So that was a actual human social life that we were living in the first quarter of this year.
Yeah.
I think the last place where I went to was a huge spread of buffet. I think it's on Outer Ring Road in Bangalore. I think it's Big Barbecue.
Oh, nice.
Right after that was my last eating out at a junk place. After that, COVID kicked in. We were all in lockdown, and initially I think lockdown was really good because we was doing something to pass our time at home. We used to make different dishes, like be it chats or Italian dishes. We even tried out pizzas at my place. We literally tried so many different dishes that we pay couple or triple hundreds outside. And after a point we got bored of it, because how long can you keep cooking pizzas at home? I'm a South Indian, so everybody else should also eat what I and my sister cook. So it was really good. But after a point, it felt really boring, right? Just sitting amidst four walls, always looking at laptop screens. You can't go out because even if you go out, you're going to feel paranoid, anxious of from where are you going to catch the virus. You don't want to put anybody at risk, because initially we thought it's really a serious thing. And after that, I think slowly we became complacent. The funniest thing is when the cases were around 1,000, we were all so paranoid, and now it's in lakhs together. But still, I go out now because something needs to be done. But of course, with all precautions. It's been a mixed year, but lots of learning like every other year. I think nature heals itself. It has taught humanity, right? How do we have to deal with nature? How do we have to treat our environment and all of that? But yeah, it's been okay. It's been an okay year. So what about you?
Me, I don't know. Like, initially, if you know me, right? So I never was the person who kind of went out, and I thought the lockdown would be all the same. But it's catching up to me right now, to truly tell you. Because I thought that going out was not my jam. Like, I could enjoy myself even when I'm at home, probably binging or doing something of my own, doing my own pet projects like this podcast. I'll keep myself enjoyed. But you miss the social interaction in one way or the other. There's a certain limit to everybody's, I think, capacity. And right now, I somehow probably do miss that. Like, I really earn to go to office, meet you guys, have our lunches, which we used to have, and all of that. Like, when things get better, and when, I don't know when that will be, when vaccines come up and things go back to normal, or the new normal, I should say. I seriously want to try out those places which I had said no in Bangalore, and want to go everywhere.
True. I really miss playing, I think, TT and foosball in office. We had so much of time back then, right? I think we need to get back to the new normal soon.
No, but did you learn anything in this lockdown? Like, I heard about you cooking. So was it something that you did before, or did you learn during this time?
So learn as in I just watched what are the ingredients I need. YouTube is there, right? YouTube is the biggest lifesaver in today's world. You can just YouTube whatever you want and you have some related video about it. So just got the ingredients, tried out different items. There is some math and science in everything, right? When you cook, you have some ratio and proportion of how much to add in what. So how spicy you want it, how salty you want it, how good you want it, things like that. So what I was saying was there's learning in everything. I did not know how to cook properly before, because another thing is from my childhood, I have been staying with my parents right from my kindergarten, then my pre-university, and then now I landed my first job, and still I'm staying with my parents. So I never had to learn to cook because there was always somebody to help me with that stuff. But cooking is really a handy skill, because you never know, you fly out of India or even the city, right? You cannot always depend on outside food. You need to know some basics of cooking. So I just tried my hand over there.
But it's good that you're learning like actual cooking, because if you learn something like me, then you will make Maggi dosas for the rest of your life.
I was actually, to be honest, I was telling my mom that I have a friend, colleague, Anshul, who is staying here right now. He's back in his home city, that we used to have discussions about Maggi dosa. So why that conversation came up, don't ask me. It was too random. My mom was making dosa the other day, and I was just saying, Anshul was there. We were actually trying to, come up with a new recipe, because at the end of the day, you need to satisfy your taste buds. And if you satisfy your taste buds, it doesn't really matter. Let people judge you for what you eat. I know a few people were pulling your leg.
Thanks for supporting me, Amogh. Thanks for doing that right now in front of the handful of people who listen to me. But that was nice. But apart from cooking, anything else?
So what I started to do is I started to read a lot. So I was not that much used to reading. So I don't know if there is a term who you call, right? I start reading something and I don't read. I leave it in halfway, then I jump to something else, because reading did not come naturally to me. But what I read is interesting. Is I read newspapers. Might be, newspapers just cost $3, $4, $5. But what I do differently is I read multiple newspapers, both in English and in regional languages. And one thing that I have learned from the past few years is there are different ways to report an event. So that is what I have learned from every newspaper that I read. So if you ask me how I spend my first 1 hour 15 minutes of my day, I read around 2 to 3 newspapers, first in English, so a few physical newspapers and a few electronic newspapers, and then I switch to regional. Because of late, if you have been active on social media, right? So I don't think you are, but that's really good. There is no mechanism to stop the spread of fake news. Even for tech giants like Google or Facebook, it's really difficult, right? Because it's like the news or the event happens at a grassroots level. Now, how it gets modified when it goes from the bottom up approach is it's more Chinese. Something happens somewhere and then it gets reported to something else. So I was a little bit interested.
You cut off there. So you mentioned that it was something like Chinese whisper?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's like Chinese whisper, where an event occurs somewhere, probably a theft or a robbery or some recognition or some achievement, something happens. Now, how does it get reported to the newspaper? So I was actually thinking about it, how exactly journalists do their work and how do they put their work onto a piece of paper in the form of newspapers, or, these days we have social media handles where they report news. So what interested me is that there are several global events that are happening, and based on which newspaper you read, it will influence your decision making skills in that particular way. It's more like if you have watched Social Dilemma, right? You are the product, right? And things like these, tech like these, they influence your mind, they change your decision making skills and things like that. I was actually very interested in that. So to see how things have evolved in the past few months. So that was one very recent hobby that I cultivated. I don't know if it's going to be of any help, but analyzing how global events or even national events, they influence your decision making skills and how it changes or clouds your judgment about something, because everything is in the hands of the newspaper editor. So it's really interesting, a dangerous job, but that is what I was really interested in.
Man, that's actually something really good, because we were always told that reading newspapers is a good thing and it's a good habit to cultivate. Like my habit is not as I would say serious as yours. Like I have some apps, where I go through some snippets, or if some article interests me, I read through. But that habit of yours, where you read multiple newspapers and try to analyze the same event written by different editors and understand their perspectives and what they are coming through, it actually makes a huge difference of understanding a single thing from different perspectives. And in nowadays, talking about fake news, when anyone who is connected to internet is basically a reporter these days. So
True. Yeah.
news or fake news, I would say, spreads like wildfire and lynching and all of that. So yeah, that's a different kind of beast which needs taming.
So just one more thing, we are always talking about what hinders our humanity and our civilization and how our evolvement, right? So we talk about terrorism, we talk about climate change, and I think even fake news is almost up there with the other things. That's like a suicide bomb by itself. Like some things, they kill people physically, some things affect people emotionally, mentally, and some things like fake news, right, it hits you at a different level. It makes you somewhat like a sleeper cell. You become emotionally controlled robots at the hands of powerful people with a hell lot of influence and things like that. So yeah, as you said, science has always been the lifesaver and the pioneer of so many solutions. So fingers crossed.
I don't know, like this would be, or probably this would be a good platform to jump into it, and we could delve more into fake news probably in a different episode, because it's a whole beast in itself, and there are nuances to it, there is intricacies to it, and there are various factors influencing it, and there are real life examples. You know what? I'll research on it and let's schedule an episode just on this, so that people around us, howsoever small the listenership base is, at least they get to know about this beast, which is in parallel with threats to humanity. And more people should be aware about it, and it affects people in our vicinity. Our parents are the most susceptible to this, right? Because they are the ones who are more susceptible to WhatsApp forwards or these social media forwards that keep on going on. So probably we should do an episode on this.
Sure thing.
But okay, moving into something more, I would say, light and interesting. Like, I personally know that you have had amazing experiences throughout your life. You have done some things for your passion. So I would like you to tell me more about that, your love for football and how it has made you do crazy things in your life.
yeah, sure. So I think we have spoken on a personal level on that, but I don't know if I have missed anything, but let me narrate the story of how I actually dived deep into football and things like that. So I think around 2006 2007 is from what I can recollect from my faint memory. I was probably around 10 years old. You know how India is a cricket frenzy nation, right? So everywhere you go, we have some ways of playing cricket, but I did not see that initially with football or any other sports. But that's not what I'm going to talk about. But I was a huge cricket fan up until my 6th grade or 7th grade. So what happened was I used to spend a lot of my vacation time with my uncle. So he was probably more into football as well as cricket, but that's a rarity that I found at that point of time. So from my memory, what I can think of is my first football match that I watched was, I think, the FIFA World Cup 2006. What a great way to start my first football match and my first experience on TV. True.
You can leave these references in this podcast, okay? I'm so sorry, I wouldn't understand this, but somebody who's a football fan will relate to it and will reach out to you for sure.
Yeah. That's where my journey with football began. And I started following this club from Spain. Barcelona is the city, and the club named after the city's football club, Barcelona. Something attracted me to their way of playing football, the way they were playing and things like that. So from my 7th grade, I had a dream that I want to actually travel to Barcelona and watch a live match just to experience how the atmosphere is and how people go crazy. So if I say how crazy people in India are for cricket, like it's their religion for many people, it's their livelihood and things like that. But if you fly to Europe, it's more or less synonymous over there to football and a few other sports. So I started saving up because I didn't want to put that burden on my parents. So I started saving up, hundreds and 200s. In our Indian culture, right? Any get together, your aunt, uncle come, they just hand you 100 or 200 in your hand, and they tell you to buy what you want. So small things like that, small get-togethers. I actually started saving some money from my 7th grade, and believe it or not, in my first year undergrad, that is first sem, I finally managed to save enough to go to fly there to watch the match and also do some tourism.
Wait. So that was what? Okay. Five and a half years of saving, man.
Yes.
Kudos to you for that, for something which you realized early, first of all, and saved throughout. But yeah, now tell us the story of how you actually went after your journey to Barcelona.
So of course I could not go alone because my parents wouldn't let me. So I had to rope in my dad with me. And what do you think is the best time to go? Let me not let you answer the question. My first semester, undergrad, mid-semester exams, I bunked. I missed all of my mid-semester exams.
Damn, awesome.
And yes, so because I had no other choice, there was one really high-profile fixture. So all the football fans will relate to it. This is like an India-Pakistan match, like how it happens in cricket. Like that, it was a similar match between Barcelona and Real Madrid. Real Madrid is a team based out of Madrid, as the name says. So it's one of the most exciting fixtures on the planet. It's almost similar to the FIFA World Cup fixtures. So what more time for me to bunk and miss my exams and go there? So what I started to do was I started to calculate my attendance. If you know how our university was strict with attendance, I actually became good at math. I wasn't that good at math, but by calculating how many classes I need to attend, how many classes I can afford to miss, and by the end of that semester, how much attendance I will have. So I successfully missed and bunked my mid-semester, and I flew to Barcelona. So I was in Barcelona for around a week. I did all sorts of tourism and all of that, but let me jump straight into the match day fixture. The person who I started to love football, I have told you, I think, a million times, it's my idol, Lionel Messi. I have read how it was a struggle for him to get induced into the footballing world, and how much of a sacrifice he has done. So we all have some idols, right? It could be in any field, somebody that inspires you, somebody you admire the most. So he was that person for me. So I wanted to see him play live. And let me drop you another bombshell. I was traveling on the match day by metro in Barcelona. So the match was scheduled around 8:30 p.m. local time in Barcelona. And by metro, I was just walking around the stadium. I see a lot of, a crowd of people everywhere because the stadium capacity is close to 1 lakh.
Whoa.
So I was just walking around with my dad with my phone in my hand just to record and, capture everything. So I just walk on the main road and I see Messi coming in his car straight into me. Just imagine what went through my mind at that moment. It is, even till today, that feeling is indescribable. I just actually jumped on his bonnet of his car with my phone. I still have that video, a very close memory that's etched in my memory cells forever. So for everything that I did from my 7th grade for 5.5 years, 6 years, I could see it bear fruit at that point of time. So I see him and of course another player over there, and I get goosebumps. I get tears in my eyes. I start recording it. People just bump into me. I get crushed in the crowd. My phone drops. But what happened at that point is so invaluable that's something I'll take it to my grave probably. So every football fan out there listening, or any personality that you admire, when you meet them, you will feel almost the same. So that was an exciting experience.
Did you get a chance to talk to him?
So no, unfortunately, but I think I did not even expect this. So anything that came my way, I thought that was a gift, and gift something that I deserved for all the sacrifice and the saving of money. So great. That was a great experience. Yeah.
Man, I can absolutely understand. Like, I have one of my cousin brothers who's a huge football fan and a Messi fan. Like, he must be going gaga over listening this. So I can imagine him going like this. But but that's the dedication. You know what? I'm inspired by you, and I have started a dream that I want to go to space, and probably that would be our near future. So I'll start saving from right now.
So trust me, when you kick off this plan, when you initiate this, you don't know what would be the budget. But trust me, even I did not know what was the budget. So when you keep saving some hundreds, some thousands, now that we are we are earning, we can save a little more than we could in from our college days or school days. So you never know, space travel could become cheap, right? Now that we are all exploring a lot of things, science, technology, everything is happening at a rapid pace, right? You never know, it might become cheap.
That's the goal, bro. That's the goal. That's something which I'm looking forward to whenever in the future. But okay, let's come back to Barcelona. So that happened, and tell us more about your trip, more about the match, more about what other things that you do with that trip.
So I think anything else I say will be an understatement because of the most highlighted section that I've already explained. But other than that, I just toured around the city, love the culture, how people are, and actually that's typical European culture. I love the weather over there as well, because here in India we're always used to moderate temperatures. We've never seen harsh winters or extreme hot weather here in India. You must relate to it. But it was a really good experience overall. I rented out and stayed in an Airbnb because it was a budget trip, of course. And then since I traveled with my dad, I got some privilege, and there was some offer with him based on his credit card, and I upgraded to one of the 5-star hotels in Barcelona. So that was another great surprise. It was more like, since you can relate in space terminologies, they say all stars aligned for something, right? So you get that reference. So in that aspect, everything aligned in my mission to watch a football match in Barcelona. So other bits were just tourism. I actually traveled to an amusement park somewhere very close to Barcelona. It's near Valencia. So there again, I traveled on a roller coaster. So I love roller coasters as well. But in India, the roller coasters are not that exciting because of how a lot of people are scared of it and things like that. But if you travel to the US or to Europe, you will see it's much more exciting and heart-throbbing. So in one of the places called Ferrari Land, I think they have many other branches across the world. If I remember, they have one in UAE, I think in Abu Dhabi and things like that. But I went there because I had some free time, and I also got to experience one of the world's fastest roller coasters because it's Ferrari Land, and that was an amazing experience again. And just to top it off, I got to paraglide as well from around 20 to 25,000 feet. So all in all, it was completely worth it to miss my boring exams. I still remember I had to go to the head of the Department of Computer Science in our university. He was impressed. He was impressed with my attendance percentage. I somehow struggled and maintained it at 100%. So, yeah.
You know what? Basically, in our college, you could get by anything if you had a good attendance percentage. So it was first semester, and man, did you plan beautifully. And it was great. At least you had to give those shitty exams again once you came back. But I guess it was well worth it, meeting an idol, seeing the match that you always dreamt of, saved for 5.5 years, man, and seeing something come fruit. And because of your own effort, who does not like that? So
yeah, true.
But what is the next goal? What is the next goal on this?
So next goal on this, right now I don't have anything on mind, but I want to go there, travel to Barcelona again and watch a match. But now that I've done it once, right, it's not that tempting, but for sure I wish to go there again or many more times in the future. So that's one ticked off my bucket list.
People always say that they have these things in their bucket list, right? And they have these certain goals, but there are very few people who act on it. And I think kudos to you, and it tells people that life is not just full of platitudes. There are some people who actually do stuff, and you ticked off one thing off a bucket list. So I don't know if there's anything that will top off this story. What should we talk about next? Like, I think Barcelona was like top. Is there anything more exciting that you did than this?
So I think completely unrelated to what I was saying, but one thing I learned from saving, money is something that all youngsters in today's world need to know, because in today's world, right, financial literacy is not given that much of an importance, but it's trending for all variety of reasons. And just to relate, saving money to do something is something that everybody should do, irrespective of whether you're saving money to tick off a bucket list or for anything in general. Another thing that I want to talk about is how well you can invest in, considering the inflations, considering money is not static, right? In my lockdown, I researched a lot about it, and even that quite interests me. But I think we are talking North Pole and South Pole now.
No, but that's fine. That is the point of these podcasts. You start with something else and you end up with something totally different. But yeah, go ahead.
True. As majority of us from our, college syllabuses or syllabi, sorry for the grammar. So from our school syllabus, college syllabus, university, everywhere they teach you what is there already in the book. One thing that was quite surprising, because you will very well relate that we landed our first jobs and we did not know how to do our taxes. And many of our peers as well, who we were speaking to, who I was speaking with, they did not have an idea why their money is getting deducted. There was something known as a tax. How do you calculate your tax? How do you save? How do you invest? So this was something that I was inclined with, because financial literacy is as important as any other subject, any other field, medical, electronics, physics. Because if you're a millionaire and you don't know, if you don't have financial literacy, you might even plunge into poverty. I might be exaggerating, but it's something that interested me. So I might be a millionaire, but if my expenses are 100,000 a month, so in less than 10 months I will be broke.
Yep.
So one thing I was learning about investing was how variety of investments that you can do just to be safe, not to lose money. Because in every investment you want to grow your assets, because every year we have inflation. If you have 100,000 as cash under your bed and you come back to your house after 15-20 years, that might even turn into a paper, because the value will just keep going down. And these are some things that we are never taught in our university or schools or anywhere else, because nobody will teach you how to manage your own money. So I was really interested. Again, my place to go was YouTube. I learned a lot of it. I started to follow a few Instagram pages which actually preach really valuable information about this, and that was a great experience. I think every person before graduation, they should have a compulsory subject in their curriculum regarding their financial literacy. I think that is when India or any other country as a nation will prosper, and consequentially everything else will prosper.
I absolutely agree with you. Like, there is no two doubts about this, because I've been a huge proponent of this even in my previous episodes, where I try to bring my friends who are experts in these fields, and they talk about the different kinds of currencies and all of that. And financial literacy is a very big aspect to all of us. There are people who specialize in this, and that's okay. But then I think this is one basic curriculum that should be taught in a very early age, and the importance of savings, the importance of expenditures, the importance of budgeting, the basics of life. You don't teach that when you are in class 11 or 12 and when you have taken commerce. You don't teach then. You teach it when you are, I guess, in class 4 or 5. It's the basics of maths, right? Like, from my point of view, you don't have to go into advanced concepts, but you can just lay the seeds. Because I can take your example. You understood the importance of savings. Okay, it was for a specific goal, but then you know now how to save, right? Because you started at an early age. But there are some people who don't realize that. They don't really realize the importance of money and in what context and how it changes in today's terms. And there are so many complex concepts that if you get into it, it will just boggle your mind. And that is why you tend to leave it to your CAs or your parents who are more knowledgeable than this. But I think that is something which everyone should, at least in the early lifetimes, I would say, pick up, learn about, and understand. It's always a good skill to have.
Rightly said.
But I think this would actually be a good moment, I would say, to end this episode. Thank you, Amogh, for sparing your time and being a guest. But this was really, really amazing. We started with what? We started with our lockdown stories, then we ended up in Barcelona, and now with financial literacy.
Our roadmap was quite like an offbeating. You just go wherever you feel like, explore a variety of topics that keeps us, indulged in time that flies. I can't believe it's been over 45 minutes, but that's the nature of conversations, meaningful conversations. Yeah. And one thing, when you're going to space, invite me as well.
Oh, done. I'm sure you've already started saving.
After watching, a few sci-fi movies related to space, that sheer magnitude when you are at an international space station is just crazy. You cannot describe that feeling. I know you are more a professional, I can say, from the space terminologies, but it's really an amazing feeling, to see your planet and every other planet from there, right? With nobody, with no light, with no sound, just your emotions, your feelings within your brain. That's another invaluable moment. So rope me in as well. Let me start saving.
Absolutely. Like, I would love to take everybody, I'm no professional, it's just a interest, like as you had developed, right? Once you start reading about this from such an early age, you develop an emotional connection. And when you talk about space, those feelings evoke for me. The same thing must have happened when the words of Messi, or if somebody's talking about Messi, same thing comes to you.
Yeah.
So man, it's amazing. I don't know, if I start rambling, the podcast will go on for an hour, so I'll have to stop myself on my feelings for now and we'll continue this in some other episode. But Amogh, I would surely love for you to come again and let's talk about the topic that we had initially started about fake news and the magnitude and the things related to that.
Sure.
And if any other topic that you're passionate about or anything for that matter. But thank you, Amogh, and thank you everybody for listening. This has been an amazing experience, and we'll come back next week with a new episode with new topics. Till then, take care and bye-bye. Thank you to all the listeners. I'll catch up with you again soon with someone new and lots of interesting discussions. So, bye.